everybody. Happy Saturday to you. I hope you're having a great Saturday and an amazing weekend so far. My name is Don Terrell, and I want to welcome you to another great episode of The Color of Motion. I like to say, hey, stories come in all shades, and I highlight people of color and diverse background in the industry of motion graphics, animation, visual effects, cartoons, and comics. This space that I'm so crazy about. You know the drill. Hop into the comments, say hey, where you tuning in from, while I make sure that we are live streaming like we should be. Oh, okay, we are doing it in the Facebook group. We had trouble last week with it streaming in the Facebook group, but it looks like we are live in the Facebook group. Let me know if you are checking it out from there. Make sure we are live on LinkedIn. Looks like we are live and in effect on LinkedIn as well. So that's good. That we may have a good show today without any hiccups, for sure. It looks like we are live and in effect on YouTube. So it looks like everything is copacetic. Again, we are here each and every Saturday afternoon, 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, live again to the. Let me jump over here. Make sure I got that live to again our LinkedIn page. You can check us out. Check out the live on LinkedIn. Like I said, we are on a Facebook group as well. You can check us out there. I want to get this off. I'm gonna trigger my explosion. So because I want to clear that on the Instagram channel. And we are live on Instagram as well. And we're doing a giveaway, fun giveaway the rest of this quarter, and I probably will extend it into next quarter as well. Because we got off to a little rocky start. But the giveaway is for the very first comment that comes in from the Instagram live during the show. You will get an Amazon gift card. So if you are checking out the show from Instagram, uh, hey, you get an Amazon gift card if you just comment, say hey from our Instagram live. That's to celebrate. Now we're live streaming to our Instagram channel. So super excited about that as well. Uh, like I said, Instagram. I always encourage everybody though to get plugged into the YouTube channel, youtube.com/Don Terrell. Like, subscribe, share, hit the bell notifications so that you're notified when new content goes up on the channel. You know, so you definitely want to get notified. I'm going to jump over here as well. Mr. Walter, appreciate you tuning in. Hey, what's going on? I hope everything's been going well. Walter was on it, super talented comic book artist. Walter was on, I think I had him on in season 2. We got to have you back on, Walter, for sure. Uh, and next week's going to be a good one, comic related. So definitely want to tune in. But appreciate you stopping by and tuning in, Walter, for sure. So let me make sure we got all the what other housekeeping stuff. Oh, I know I want to make sure, and this is again another segment that I'm wanting to do, and that's the jobs board. Because of the times that we're in, I want to make sure that I share opportunities that come across my feed that may be helpful, to other artists that are out there that may be looking, for opportunities. We got to help and support one another. This one's from Titmouse, which is kind of funny because our guest today has worked for Titmouse. Design supervisor. If you're a design supervisor, might be something to check out for sure. And again, I try and make sure that these are recent ones. So usually these are the ones that I get like Thursday, Friday that come on my feed because they're more recent. This one from Digital Domain, visual effects FX development artists and mid to senior FX artists. It's hard to. I really do want to trying to find those ones that aren't quite senior level that give those junior level ones an opportunity. This is Titanium Clad Studios is hiring 2D character animator, and all these links, the links to the post and the links to where you can apply will be in the show notes. So you can definitely make sure you check out the show notes if you want to check out the opportunity as well. Wild Brain is hiring. This one, I think they got several careers they had listed. So definitely, again, hop into the show notes and check out the link and check out and see what opportunities they have. You know. Again, and during this time, we have to make sure that we support and kind of help one another in what we're trying to do. All right, I think that's pretty much all the little housekeeping stuff. Oh, definitely want to also shout out to sponsor for today's show, DG Graphics. If you, they do all our graphics, animations, overlays, and all that stuff, and basically make us look like the professionals that we are. You know, and so if you're a business or a brand that's really looking to level up your brand content, create more engaging content, you definitely want to reach out to them. Their information will be in the show notes as well. But always appreciate DG Graphics for being a sponsor and supporter of the show. All right. Let me hop back over here. All right. With that, I think we are. Oh, I keep forgetting stuff. That's why I got to write a lot of this stuff down. This is a big one too, because without your support, I definitely can't continue to do this. This definitely helps. I love a great cup of coffee. I'm working on our Patreon page, but until that's up, you can use our cup of coffee page. But any support that you give definitely helps me to continue to create great content. Continues Helps me to continue to bring great guests on the show and friends on the show. So definitely, I love a great cup of coffee. So buy me a coffee, Don Terrell / Don Terrell, and I would love your support. All right. With that, I think we are ready to get this show on the road. What do you say? Again, I'm super excited about this today's episode because one, if you are an anime lover and an animation lover, then this is going to be a fun episode for you. So, without further ado, let's get this show kicked off. All right. We are back and ready to go. Again, like I said, I'm super excited about my next guest, and we were kind of chatting beforehand about a lot of good stuff. So definitely, this is going to be a great episode. My next guest was born and raised in Queens, New York City, and she has been in the animation industry for over 10 years. After graduating SVA with an internship from Pixar, she quickly realized that 3D was not the path for her and pivoted into 2D. From there, she's pivoted multiple times in her career, from freelance artist to animation director to head of artistic recruiting at Titmouse. And now, as the co founder of Studio MoonMoon, an indie anime studio working to develop an original IP licensing. Everybody, please help me welcome my very special guest and friend, Miss Ellen Sue. Ellen, oh, please don't tell me she is frozen. Uh, oh, brother. Let me see. It looks like she may be frozen. Let me try and message her. Uh, yeah. Okay. Let me go back to this. Uh, and try and message her, see if she can restart. Uh, yeah. Re log in. Uh, there she is. There she is. Let's see. There she is.
Yay! uh,
Awesome.
you couldn't get off scot free without any technical
No,
difficulties, you know.
no. Uh, but like I said, we got to bring it in style.
Thank you. And I've got my friend Tank here
And
with me.
what is your doggy's name?
Tank from Cowboy Bebop, the opening sequence song.
Okay, okay, awesome. Uh, Let me throw this in here. Miss Mary Matthews, appreciate you stopping by, and I hope you enjoy the show. I know Miss Ellen's sister appreciates it as well. Again, for anybody that wants a gift card, check out the live stream on Instagram. If you are the first comment that comes in from Instagram, from our Instagram live, you will receive an Amazon gift card. So hey, you know, get a gift card. All you gotta do is
Very
comment from
nice.
the Instagram live in celebration of us now live streaming. Ellen,
Yay!
I am super excited about having you on. We were talking beforehand, just in what you're doing, but really looking forward to diving into your journey. Animation. You've had a varied career. Now you're doing anime. What was it that sparked just your passion for animation and specifically anime when you were younger? Was there any particular thing that kind of did it for you? It was like, I like this. This is what I want to do.
Definitely, it was watching Toonami after school. And so the first, like I would say, gateway drug to animation was Sailor Moon on Toonami. But like that whole era of Toonami and Adult Swim, where
Yeah.
we had like Trigun, Cowboy Bebop, Yu Yu Hakusho, all of that was very formative for my childhood.
Oh man, we are we are just having some technical difficulties with it locking up. Ah, let me jump over here. We are having technical difficulties with it locking up. Ah, locked up again. Locked up again. Uh, I know this cannot be just me. on my system. It's freezing. It's locking up. Hopefully she'll log back on. I should kick her off and have her log back on. Yeah, I'm gonna log her off because you locked up. Yep. Oh, okay. I said, I was telling, we were talking about before Ellen and I was telling her about the mishaps that I've been having
Yeah,
and was hoping
yeah.
this episode would kind of go, I don't know, a little smoother. But uh, we were talking, you were talking about Toonami and that, being kind of the inspiration. We were talking beforehand, before the show, about just family and family support. Where did you? How was the support in what your passion was and what you wanted to do when you decided that this was what I wanted to do, the path that I wanted to take?
Yeah, I think I think it was surprisingly supportive considering it was, Chinese American family, immigrant family that where the paths of success are, doctor, lawyer. uh, and I think what happened for me now, my parents were divorced, but in the pivotal time of when I was deciding what I wanted to do, my dad kind of came back into my life for a little bit, and he had been a fine artist. And he was pretty talented, but he had given it up to, for the realistic thing of raising a family and getting a steady paycheck.
Yeah,
And so he kind of saw something, like saw potential in me. And so for him, it was like, okay, well, he made a living doing graphic design, learning Photoshop when nobody else knew Photoshop.
yeah,
And his thinking was, well, if you're going to want to make a living doing art, then you're going to have to do something with computers. And he was right,
yeah,
he was right. But definitely that kind of support in his experience, like he hadn't done what he thought he wanted to do, but I'm grateful that he wanted to support me in the best way that he could.
yeah.
Um, yeah,
No, no, I think that's so important. And it's easier. Obviously, it's easier when you have a creative parent that's an artist and or something like that. They kind of get it and they understand
yeah,
it. It's a little tougher, like you were saying. Just in, I think most parents they want a better life for their child, and and again,
yeah.
unless they're creative their only path is a 9 to 5, benefits type of thing and getting something
Hmm.
steady. So it's a little hard. I often say, like my mom, she didn't get it she encouraged and she really was really supportive of my passion for art and graphics and all that. So she made sure that I was in art programs and doing the things that I wanted. She didn't
That's
quite
awesome.
get how I could make a living from it, but you know, I told her I want to be a cartoonist. Okay, I don't know how this is gonna work,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
you definitely need to have a backup as far as education or something else you may want to do. So, but she encouraged it, and I think that's really important
Mm.
to have at least one, somebody that's an advocate for you and you know, really helping you. Um, for you, was it easy finding that tribe of other creators and other kids, younger people that were into the same things that you were and wanted to do that?
Yeah, I would say that I was very, very lucky. When I was going to high school, so in New York, they have specialized high schools, and the traditional ones that Asian parents want their kids to get to is like Stuyvesant, which is just the top for science and math. And I applied for the art school, and I got in, and it was so great to just be able to like in art high school. Basically, we don't have the traditional like um,
Sorry. Hit the
Oh,
wrong.
are we back?
Yeah, we back.
Okay.
I hit my
So we don't
scene.
have
I
the
meant to hit the
traditional.
solo scene. Forgive me.
Okay. We don't have like jocks and cheerleaders.
Uh,
We have drama majors and vocal artists and art majors and dance. And I think when you have all these different people from diverse backgrounds, but we're brought together by something creative and like this craft that we're all trying to get better at, a lot of that like weird high school bullying kind of falls away,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I think like just like to paint you a picture, my last year in that high school, somebody tried to start a cheerleading team and they were like met with laughs. You know, that, like in the movies, you see the like the pack of girls in their outfits walking in through the hallways and everybody's like, like, it's so sexy, and like everyone in art school was like, what the
Yeah. That definitely wouldn't go well in a specialized school there. We have a she wants to get her shot in. She's like, I want to get on. I want to get in there too. Uh, but so the SVA was School of Visual Arts.
Yeah, so the high school was the fame, like the LaGuardia
Yeah,
Art
that's what I was
School.
gonna say. It was like Fame, that School of Visual Arts, where
Fame,
it's just
yeah,
all creative stuff,
yeah,
which
yeah, yeah.
was kind of like, I mean, it's kind of like the Art Institute. I mean, it was just fashion, it was cooking. It wasn't like your traditional college where they had, like you said, cheerleaders and all the football and all that kind of stuff. It was a specialized art school. What do you feel like was the best thing that you pulled from going there?
From
From
oh my gosh.
SVA, what do you feel like was that
Mm.
best nugget, that thing that, okay, wow, this was a great piece of learning and advice that I got from SVA.
Yeah, I think SVA was really, really good in terms of preparing their students in terms of like the 3D animation department and also now the 2D animation department, but preparing the students for the real world, for the professional practices,
Yeah,
the logistics of like freelancing, contracts, and setting your rates and like actually meeting people. I know a lot of fellow artists that came from very prestigious, very expensive art colleges, competitive for animation, and they were not as prepared as us,
yeah,
for those realities of
yeah,
like how do we. Um, I think they valued their like hiring teachers that are still working in the industry, and so that makes sure that the wisdom that you're getting is still fresh and relevant to what's hiring at the time,
yeah,
and you're building a very valuable network, because if you have a teacher that saw how hard you worked in class and see a lot of potential in you, and they're also the director or the producer at a studio that can offer you a job,
yeah,
that's valuable work.
yeah,
So I always tell, like, if you've got the money to spend on private school, do your research to make sure that, like what you learn in college is not really going to be the skill set you need to be a professional artist, actually.
yeah,
What you're paying for is a network, because just doing the homework assignments in college, that's not going to get your skill to where it needs to be. And that's not going to get your portfolio to where it needs to be.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so a lot of the building your skill, you got to do that, outside of college, prior to college, after college. But then while you're there, the friends you make, the impressions you make as a student, amongst your peers and your teachers, that's really valuable.
yeah. No, no, and it's something I've learned as well. Just doing the show, it's a small industry. Even though the industry's big, it's a small in the sense that everybody kind of knows, or is maybe 1 or 2 degrees separated from
Mhm.
the next person. So building those relationships are definitely key. Mr.
Yeah.
Jeff, I appreciate you tuning in. Miss you, man. Welcome. Ellen Sue. Yeah, it's been a minute since you've joined us live there. Jeff's another super talented artist as well. You just got dropped out.
Amazing.
Definitely, everybody just jumping in. We're having a fun conversation with Ellen Sue, uh, CEO and owner, co-owner of Studio MoonMoon. Where did you get Studio MoonMoon from?
Um, Sailor Moon.
Oh, okay. So we got a Sailor Moon fan here for sure.
I love me some Sailor Moon.
Oh my God. Uh, Now we were just talking about schools. Now you have this advent, with online, obviously, and the internet. Now you got a lot of online learning. What
Yeah.
is your thoughts about just a lot of the information now online in places now where you can get even more targeted learning? You may not get the obvious, in person kind of connection, but you still are able to build relationships, albeit on the online, with people in the
Yeah.
industry without taking that hit price wise that you would
Yes.
going to a traditional school. What are your thoughts about that path as a pathway?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I tell people is like, if you don't have the finances to go to a traditional four-year college, make your own curriculum. Like taking a class online with a good, reputable school is just as valuable. And as you say, much, much cheaper, right?
Mm,
Like, because you're not paying for like the fees to use the labs or like humanities courses that might not get you
yeah,
further in the career of your choice. And you can really just focus in on what you want. I always recommend a Warrior Art Camp if you're really interested in more like design and visual development. They have some good storyboard classes. And there's a couple of online schools out there. The
yeah.
same approach to finding a good school applies for finding the right class, which is like looking at who is teaching and
Yeah.
or who runs the school and what network do they have. Like if your goal is Pixar, but the teachers work in Japanese animation, like that might
It'd be
not
a
be
disconnect.
relevant to you.
Yeah.
you know so you kind of have to do that research and find like, is this getting me closer to my goal? And I think, in your early stages, if you're piecemealing your curriculum together, like foundations is really important. But it's also a period of exploration, right? Like you're not going to know until you try it if you really, really love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
The other thing too is like colleges have their curriculums online for you to see. Like you could technically piecemeal the same curriculum from a college
Oh yeah. Yeah.
for
What
yourself, like,
I don't know if you've heard of them, but they're really growing, and I've taken a couple of their free courses. But School of Motion, uh,
mm,
um, with man, they've got a lot of different courses. They got courses in Blender, actually Jonathan Winbush's Unreal Motion Graphics and Unreal course just dropped with School of Motion. So they got a lot of different uh, courses and the tools that motion designers and animators need to really get speed on and really can learn, and they're affordable. They have an all access that you got access to all their courses
mm,
and reviews, teacher reviews of your assignments and all of that. So you are starting to see a lot of great um, institutions and I guess online schools that industry professionals are starting to create and develop because they know training people and getting them prepared
mhm,
for the industry. You were saying a minute ago, talking about how SBA prepares you with contracts and pricing and all that kind of stuff. I ain't get none of that in the art institute. It was they were cranking out workers, for you
mm,
to be a cog in a wheel type of thing.
mm,
And so to find those schools that really prepare you on how to be not just a worker, but a entrepreneur, business person, and really take control of your own kind of destiny if you so choose.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, I think it depends. So, SVA is definitely, at least when I went, it might change by now, preparing you to be a worker in an industry, but preparing you also to like how to find those opportunities and things like that. There's other art schools that are very prestigious, where, their graduates would work at places like Pixar and DreamWorks and whatnot.
Yeah.
That might be more like artist, filmmaker focused, right? Like encouraging you to tell your story and making a beautiful film.
Yep. She locked up again. Ah, boy, we're having just the time, just the time. She'll jump back in. Uh, man, and there she is. Well, at least she's coming in. Yeah. Uh, I was telling them we're having just the
All right.
time.
So,
You're doing better though. We're doing better because
yeah,
last time they were having trouble just logging back in. That was the issue I was having. They were freezing, but then they weren't able to log back into the show for some reason. So at least you
yeah,
are able
yeah.
to come back in.
Um, Yeah, so I don't know where we jumped off, but just like some schools really push you to be a filmmaker and a
Yeah,
storyteller. And SVA was kind of like preparing you to be a worker, but preparing you to like, okay, how do you find jobs and apply for them and things like that? And not so much pushing you to be like a filmmaker.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that also kind of depends on what you want to do.
So for you, where was that point that because you had jobs, you worked at Titmouse and you had other positions. What what was that point where you decided to say, I want to create my own IP and I want to kind of see
Mm,
what I can develop as far as my own story? What was that
yeah.
point?
It was COVID. It was COVID. At that point, I had a successful career as a director for animated commercials. And commercial work and advertising, um, in the past, it pays well. But it's also very soul sucking because, you're selling something
Yeah,
that you might not care about. And particularly, I think at the COVID point where I'm like, am I going to die? are, are they coming for us?
yeah,
Like, I was like, I would be very upset with myself if I passed and all I did was, pharmaceutical ads
yeah,
selling drugs to people.
yeah,
Um, and I had always been really interested in people problems, communication problems, and how do we break free from cycles.
yeah.
All right.
Well, she froze up again and she froze again. Remember that thought. Everybody just jumping in. We've been having a fun, albeit little challenging uh episode here. But if you're just jumping in, we've been having a fun conversation with Ellen Sue, uh, anime and creative director with Studio MoonMoon. Hopefully, she'll log back in. I've been having issues with freezing, with my guests freezing for some reason. But again, just to remind everybody, we are celebrating until she logs back in. She just uh, try logging. Yeah, refreshing. Uh, you're probably gonna have to log back in. I logged you out, Ellen. Try logging back in. Uh, lost my train of thought. Oh, I was saying that in celebration of us now live streaming on Instagram. We're doing a fun giveaway for the Instagram. If for anybody that our first comment that comes through from the Instagram live show that comes in, you get an Amazon card. So if you happen to be watching from Instagram, which we are live. Yep, we are live. If you happen to be watching from Instagram, hopefully she'll log back in. Uh, ah, man, oh man, we are back at this again. Uh, man, uh, can, it says open a new tab. A new tab, close, try closing, and uh, boy, I tell you, this is these last episodes. This quarter has been challenging, just in technical difficulties, and like I said, I felt like I had all of this worked out as far as the stress it was putting on the system here, but for some reason, I may have to check this link and get on. For some reason, my it's just my guests are freezing like crazy, and then not being able to log back in. And sorry. Ah, this has been it for the last couple of weeks. Uh, tried. Oh man, jeez. Oh mama. Uh, man, I don't know. Once I start going live, it just makes it so hard. I don't know why it's so hard for guests to just log back in. Oh man, I would say, try rebooting. Uh, try rebooting. Restarting. And that's gonna take a minute. Her restarting the system rather than she's in. Man, I don't know. Oh man. Yeah. Logged in but no video. Logged in. Video doesn't quit. Browser. I think I would say quit. Quit Safari. And man, I swear, I thought I had this worked out, and she's, just coming in. There we go. Hi, I have to apologize. Man, this seems to be the thing the last few weeks. Just apologizing for all these technical difficulties. I don't know why. For some reason, once I go live, it's just really hard for the guests to log back in for some reason. I have a feeling I'm going to be on tech support with Ecamm this week to try and nail down this issue because it's been really, really on back. And I even forgot where we were
Okay,
talking about
so
the.
yeah, my interest in storytelling. Why I wanted to do my own thing and
Yeah, yeah,
why.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I wanted to do something meaningful with art because I think stories help changes lives. And I've always been interested in people problems, stemming kind of from like a very negative relationship that I had with my mom, where it just felt like every time we tried to communicate, we would just both get very upset or angry, and communication would break down, and none of that gets resolved. All of that is bottled up. I don't know if this is any at all familiar to viewers, but just all of that negative feeling and thoughts, we bottle it up, we don't talk about it, we cold shoulder each other for a little bit, and then maybe we pretend, we come back together at some point and pretend nothing happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and that's really unhealthy. And
So how does that translate, or how do you, I guess, direct it into your animation? And we're going to take a look at dicing what she's working on, what Studio MoonMoon is working on. But how do you translate and
yeah,
channel all your personal emotions, feelings into because you can obviously let it freeze you or let it really get on way on you to where you don't do anything.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I think for me, growing up, I was left alone at home for a lot of my life, my childhood, because my parents were working essentially. And TV raised me. I learned a lot, of my life lessons from cartoons and TV shows and movies. And that's kind of what I wanted to do here. My relationship with my mom went from like us going no contact, like almost fully no contact, to what I think everybody wants, which is like a supportive friendship with their parent. And it was a process, it was a journey, it was a lesson that I realized at some point, that when you get into a fight with somebody, whether it's your parent or a relative or a boss or whatever, spouse, um, we get upset and we expect them to act a certain way or expect them to hear us out differently.
Yeah.
Um, but is that expectation realistic if nobody taught them how to do that? You
Yeah.
know, I wanted my mom to, listen to my problem and just receive that, not to brush it away, not to tell me like, oh, don't think about it, it's sad, right? But that was what she was taught.
Yeah.
That was just the words that she was taught.
Yeah.
And I was able to learn different words through the relationship in my lives, the friends that I made, being able to go to other people's families, houses, and see how they uh, dealt with conflict.
Yeah.
um, and I was like, okay, well, if nobody teaches them, and let's be real, if they're not going to go to therapy, because a lot of people are not going to, whether it's by choice or other resources to,
Yeah.
uh, what other way can we impart some examples that they can take into their lives or not? And that was where I went with, let's do a TV show. Um, and that's what I'm hoping to weave into this fun action comedy that explores, different family relationships, but at the core is, you know, you live life, you see conflict outside, but the lessons that you learn, you're always going to take back and like deal with your own situation. So the
Yeah.
main character has a broken relationship with her mom right now,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
through her journey outside, through seeing other people's different sides and their situation, she's going to learn the skills, bring it back, and impart it with her mom, which for me, that was what actually happened. It was like over a period of 6 years, um, me therapy and doing a lot of stuff, and learning from everyone around me, and slowly modeling those behaviors for her. We eventually got to that point where like we were breaking cycles.
Yeah.
The story, one a recent cycle that we broke free from was, my mom is afraid that people don't want her around, that I don't want her around. And we were, there was one time, this is the second time we're having this fight years apart. Um, And the first time we both kind of like hung up and we're like, oh, I was like, I can't believe like she's doing that. Like, what the hell, you know? And she's obviously upset too. Um, and eventually we kind of got across it. But this time,
Oh, oh, just right in the middle of it, I swear. Oh Lord. This is hopefully she'll be able to jump back on. Yeah. Okay. That's
all
it.
right.
There we go.
So this time we caught it while it was happening. So, you know, she's afraid that I don't want her around. We have this fight, you know, because I keep asking her, like, hey, do you want to stay back at the hotel room? You know, you can rest, you can take it easy. And that's coming from me worrying that, like, her leg hurts because she's got a bad knee and she's not telling me, she's not being honest
Yeah.
about her physical condition. And so I'm keeping checking with her. And she is making an assumption that I don't want her around. That's her trigger, that's her fear.
Yeah.
um, and if you know, that makes her upset, that makes her afraid, and she lashes out, which is what we often do when we have these moments, right, of being triggered by some kind of like past trauma and whatnot. We lash out, and she caught herself, and then she immediately was like, I feel like you don't want me around by asking so many times.
Yeah.
Normally we would just kind of like get upset at each other, kind of just like be quiet, you know, conversation dries out, and then somehow come back to it. But then we never break out of that cycle. So by saying that out loud and by catching like, oh, I did this and this is why I did this, you know, now I can be like, no, it's because I'm worried that your leg hurts and you're not telling me. And
Yeah.
then we can put it down and we can move on without like holding on to that hurt constantly and continuing to assume like, oh, she doesn't want me around, which then makes her behavior worse and worse because she's afraid of
No.
that, right?
No. Well,
um
I think it
yeah.
all comes down to, like I said, just especially it's tougher with obviously with your parents and older generation that commute, but it also comes back to communicating and not assuming
Yeah.
this person thinks this and this person, you know, I think what do they say? You assume you make an ass out of me. You shouldn't assume. Just
Yeah.
ask. Just
Yeah.
ask, and you'll find out directly. How a person's feeling and what a person's think. I think again we assume a lot. For you, because we did talk about that. We did have a kind of a little conversation before the show about just family dynamics and how you kind of protect your space and not let it kill your creativity. And it could easily kill your creativity. How did you, and did you find like your peers were kind of going through the same thing with their families or having issues with, kind of that dynamic of, maybe not the specifics, but just their family not getting, the path that they're on, maybe not a supportive type of thing. Did you find that, some of your peers were kind of expressing the same things?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody's journey is going to be unique. You know, you're going to have a different set of struggles than me or you or whoever else. Um, I can only speak from my experience in that, like, a lot of this um, struggle with making an indie series and this long term, you know, this is not something that gets done tomorrow or even
No.
within a year.
Yeah.
This is like a long sprint. Historically, it could take 5 to 7 years outside of a traditional system. And even
Yeah.
within a traditional system, it could
Yeah.
take that
Even
much longer.
within, yeah, it still takes a
Yeah.
while. Which brings me to that point of how do you keep yourself motivated? And I often think this
Oh my
with
gosh.
people that are on these projects, especially a director. How do you keep people engaged, motivated, inspired through
Yeah.
3+ years of working on a film type of thing or a project type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very it takes grit, it takes perseverance. There, some people struggle with the fear of being judged because creating and putting your art out there is very vulnerable. You're kind of exposing parts of yourself,
Yeah,
right? Um, some people struggle with that self-doubt where, everyone could be telling that that's something I struggle with because like I kind of think, like when like if you show your stuff to people and like what are they going to say? Like they can't be like, "Oh, that sucks."
yeah.
Like I just feel like of course they're going to say, "Oh, wow, cool." Keep going.
Well,
Good
you're always going to
job.
have those critics. And do you, along that line, though, do you feel that the internet and social media plays a big part in people's
Mm,
fears of what people think, measuring up to other artists' work, and all
yeah.
that kind of stuff? Like I was saying, like we were talking about before, social media and the internet's great, but it could be a dual-edged sword depending on how
Yeah.
you let it affect you.
Yeah, and I think to that, like Tarantino said something like, my overnight success was like 15 years of failure,
Yeah,
right? So nobody really, like sometimes you have lightning in a bottle and something blows up and you don't understand why, and then you never have another blow up again, or nothing goes viral again. And on the other side of that, there are people that succeed after years and years of hard work. And I think about, like we went to Kickstarter to try to fundraise for our first episode, for our pilot episode. And obviously, we would freaking have loved to be one of those like, oh, $1 million campaigns,
yeah,
But if you think about the history and look at the history of the people that get $1 million funding from Kickstarter, like how many years of just building their audience that they put?
yeah, yeah,
Oftentimes it's like 5 years
yeah,
before they do this kind of Kickstarter,
yeah,
or they're putting in effort prior to it.
yeah,
And so it's not really good to necessarily compare where you're at with other people, but it's good to look around you and, research what's working and what's succeeding so
yeah.
that you can,
Can
look
replicate it.
at that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You can
Yeah.
replicate it. And like you were
But I think
saying, oh no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think, and it's finding your cheerleaders. Like I think, like what's most important is like your executive cheerleaders, that
Yeah,
will stick with you and convince you to keep going. Um, but I do think that there was a lot of doubt for me, and on the journey of like releasing things that I thought was good, but then a lot of people that I showed it to were like,
yeah, yeah,
that's really weird. I don't know about that, And then we released it, and it had the effect I wanted. It reached people, and they were responding in a way that like, oh my goodness, that's what I wanted to do, and it's happening, and I'm so glad I released it,
yeah,
And it's a reminder to just like, if you have a vision, like do it and just stick with it. Don't
yeah,
let the doubt, fear kind of control your actions,
yeah,
because your options are like you succeed and you reach somebody, or it doesn't really reach anybody and nobody cares. Nobody knows you about your failures.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, like you said, it served its purpose as far as it achieving the goal of what you wanted to do. It touched somebody, and
Yeah.
somebody felt something from it and got something from it. So I think that's the thing with that keeps a lot of people from succeeding. They don't, it doesn't hit the numbers that they wanted to hit initially,
Yeah.
and so they just give up and say, I don't want to do this on anymore, and nobody likes my content because nobody showed up or anything like that. And I think the same thing doing this show, you look. I don't. I try not to look at the numbers. I try and focus on, does it reach? Even if it's one person that gets something from this show,
Yeah.
and it serves its purpose of why I created it and what I wanted to do, and then you just work to make it better from there. And consistency does that. Being consistent, you'll start to get better at your craft as long as you stay consistent with doing it and getting better at it, and you'll start to see growth then. um, but again, you were talking about just Kickstarter and those ones that get 1 million. Like I said, they've spent the time building their community that's going to support you know their endeavor. And Kickstarter, I've learned that's a whole project and job in and of itself to make a
Yeah.
Kickstarter campaign real, especially if you're ambitious with the money that you're trying to go after. It takes a lot of work to really build a
Yeah.
Kickstarter campaign and get people on board, your idea, and want to get behind your idea and, really see it. But again, it makes it easier. And I think, and I want you to speak to, like I said, this time that we're in now as a creative and building your own audience, how that makes or opens the door for you in that mainstream, because they're kind of looking at, wow, if they're plugged into like 1 million followers or 1 million subscribers or even 500,000, they'll want to, start talking with you. Whereas before, if you didn't have a community, uh, they're not going to want to see, or put forth the effort. So do you think, as far as like those independent creators that are going after like funding on a bigger scale, that they're looking at, well, have they built a community that's going to support their project and justify, okay, me giving you
Mm.
500,000, 1 million? Whereas somebody said like the Beast, who had he was already a number one YouTuber and making money before he started getting all these opportunities of companies, because they saw he built his fan base, so to speak.
Mm.
So do you
Yeah.
feel like now as creators we're more having to spend time building our community and fan base that will support us when we do create content?
Yeah. I think, unfortunately, we're in this period where people are afraid to take risks, which, you know, doesn't doesn't make sense to me. They want the trend has been they want a sure thing. They want IP with millions of followers or, sales or
Yeah,
whatnot.
yeah,
But here's the thing, adaptations of popular IPs don't always guarantee success.
no, no, and we've seen that.
And we've seen that, right? But at the same time, they're still like, where can we, alternatively, you could, you know, split that focus into some original IP and some adaptations. And, like you might still hit it big or you still might fail. It's just kind
Yeah.
of like somebody was saying to me, like, we don't have tastemakers anymore.
Uh, well, they were. I mean, I think they're. And I hear a lot that the people that are making the decisions and putting out the money, they're not creatives. They're business people, so they're making
Right.
decisions based off of a business, perspective.
Yeah. But
They're not.
has culture ever been created by that? I feel like historically culture has been like, a response to some human experience, like the creation of hip hop, and how jazz formed and music and just like anime and all that stuff. It wasn't necessarily out to make money.
No, initially it wasn't, but again, when it starts to move into corporate and starts to
But
get
like
to that level.
corporate came because like those things were connecting with people, I guess.
Yeah, they were connected with people, but obviously it's morphed into this um, thing where the studios, the heads, they're wanting, the control.
Mm,
And no, like, okay, you use hip hop as an example. Gone are the days of, well, I won't say gone, but the days of, selling your CDs out of a car, the trunk of your car, like, the originals ones used to do, or doing those kind of in the park kind of things. Those are less in between. They're more going towards, okay, if I can build, like I said, my audience,
mm,
and then see that he's got a following, okay, I'm going to give him money. And most people, unless they're thinking, I want to be creatively in control of the content that I do, they're going to just sign whatever it is that they're going to take just to get the money, and therein go the control of their content
mm.
type of
Yeah.
thing. Um,
It's, I mean, the more I explore the methods of how do we really fund this dream, you know, you're gonna have to make concessions. You're
yeah,
gonna, you know,
because the
and
person that's going to give you $500,000 or $1,000,000,
yeah,
it's very rare that they're just going to give you a check and step back and let you, not
yeah,
have any type of input or say in, I think you should add this character. I think you should
yeah,
maybe change the story a little here to make it more appealing for this audience. And, all those kind of things that, you're going to give up if you're going to go that mainstream route type of
yeah,
thing.
yeah. There's no right or wrong way, you know. I think I think everyone's trying to figure out this problem because I think even the higher ups and even the traditional studio people, they see the issue, and we're all trying to figure out, how do we get original stuff made faster and
Yeah.
funded faster. So
Well, do you think that's going to come from not the big studios, but these smaller, more nimble streaming platforms that, like Tubi and Netflix, that
mm,
can invest in more original content type of thing, and say Sony or Disney is willing to, you know, go
mm.
with an
I,
original IP type of thing?
I don't know about like streamers, probably likely, but I do think like smaller, global communities and areas for funding are definitely coming together and racking their brains. We're
Oh, let's hope she jumps back on. We're gonna jump over here for it. Yeah, she came back in. For everybody just jumping in, we're having a fun conversation with guest animator and creative director Ellen Sue, and we were talking about funding for your original IP and idea, and just the whole nature of funding now, and getting funding, and whether or not you want to give up concessions to go that route, and all the different avenues of getting your idea funded. Um, have you had an issue or problem? Because I've always wondered this with people that are kind of working on their own kind of idea or show or this and that, getting your peers to, you know, maybe donate time or their talent. She locked up. Um, Donate time or talent, as opposed to, obviously, you want to pay them type of thing. But has it been for you? I know I've been talking while you're kind of going in and out. I was talking about getting a challenge, getting your peers and people on board to work with you. Obviously, you can't animate it, do it everything yourself. How do you get people on board to kind of, when you're not able to necessarily pay them what that they should be paid type of thing?
yeah, yeah. Um, that. that's always going to be the challenge. But like anything, kind of parallel skill sets of like you want a job, you're going to have to pitch yourself, right? You want somebody to work and invest on your project, you're going to have to pitch it to them. Why should they? Why should they give you their time? And I think it's just a matter of finding that connection with people. And for us, we had materials ready, we had some sample artwork, we had kind of experience behind our belts, to make people feel like this was something that they could work on and they could trust that we would deliver. um, and yeah, I think um, it's about the pitch.
Yeah,
You have to make sure that they connect with something. And
yeah,
even sometimes, like, that's not always going to work because, like, some people, like, I love this, but I need to pay rent. So
yeah,
you're not going to get them all. You're not going to get them all.
yeah,
But I recently spoke with somebody who shared how he was getting his, new studio off the ground. And that was every single day he would just reach out to 10 people, 10 potential clients, and pitch his studio, pitch what they could offer, pitch what they might want.
yeah,
Um, Pitch with, I see you have this, and this is how we could help you get
yeah,
to the next level,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Um, in that pitch process, what you always want to do is you want to make sure that the person you're speaking to feels seen and understood by you, right?
yeah,
So you're not just pitching to anybody, you're pitching to that person in particular, um, and why it makes sense that you two collaborate.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, and
so
show them that you're listening to their problem or their
yeah,
challenge that they're having, and
yeah,
actually listening to them for sure. No, it's definitely um, is kind of the way to go and to do things. We're going to take a look uh, at some of the artwork that has been done. And some of Ellen's artwork. I mean, she does a lot of different type of stuff. Um, and I want you to kind of, talk a little bit about some of the pieces that we're seeing because I love the style. And what, I mean,
this one is just. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, I was gonna say you started off in 3D, but you found that your passion was 2D and love was in 2D. Um, Kind of why? I'm a
Oh,
traditional person as well. I mean, I love 3D, but obviously 2D is kind of an original passion. What what is it about that 2D that 3D doesn't quite do it for you?
right. So essentially, I realized that I cannot. Okay, 3D animation was a lot of math. It's a lot of, when you are lighting a scene and making it, setting up all the virtual lights and
Yeah,
making sure everything looks nice. Like, it's a lot of math, actually. And other stuff versus like when 2D, you have a vision, you paint it. There's not really that much math to it.
yeah,
And and so I think that I was not suited for the technology aspect of 3D. Like every year, some new software or plugin or something is going to come out, and you're going to have to like make sure you learn it and stay on track. And that just wasn't the kind of artist I was at that point. So I kind of just like saw it in my mind, and I wanted to be able to draw it down, and that was
yeah.
what 2D allowed me to do.
Well, I mean, so you didn't, because I know a lot of people, a lot of other artists, they don't, like I said, they're not technical. I wouldn't say I'm technical and want to get into the math, but you didn't think that, say, character animator or a rigger or a modeler kind of, I mean, would be a path that would not be so much math or not be
Um,
so technical as far as like, well,
yeah,
I'm not great at math, but maybe character animating is something. I don't know if I want to do that either. That's hard
yeah,
act. That's basically acting and getting a performance. But
but that's the same thing of like yeah, I think rigging is still very technical, shading is very technical, and animation similarly, like instead of just drawing the shape and performance you want, you're moving all these little controllers.
Yeah,
You know, so then that even in that sense, I'm like, I prefer 2D animation.
yeah,
um
yeah,
so it just wasn't the right fit. It, you know, the reason I went into 3D was again at my dad's encouragement that like 3D is going to be the future. And for a point, he was correct.
yeah.
And
It's kind of
now,
swung
you
the
know,
other way now. It seems
it
like,
did. And also, you know, back then, like Pixar was king.
yeah,
Everybody wanted to do Pixar, right?
yeah,
And nobody said like, everybody was like, there's no job or career in anime. You know, people look down on anime. And now everybody wants to be making anime. That's
yeah.
like the hot, profitable thing. Um, so yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like you said, it's just, I think, you know, anime and, especially now you're seeing a certain kind of style. I feel like Spider-Man, Spider-Verse ushered in this kind of 2D toon style. And now you're starting to see these stylized, 3D type of animations and more painterly type of anime. You
Mm,
seen Arcane and that style just kind of ran with it and stuff like that. And it has this kind of natural painterly drawing style. I think is people are starting to kind of gravitate to as far as like it's something different than what you were saying. Pixar, we've just been fed Pixar, 3D style animation for so long that you get hungry for a different style. And I think with these new tools, and that which is why I like this time that we're in, we got so many new tools, so many different creators now that are experimenting and just coming up with, just different styles and new techniques and
mm,
new ways of using a tool that may not have been, meant for that. I mean, you got a lot of people now that have been Unreal for motion graphics. Wasn't initially
mm.
used for that. It was a game engine. So
Right.
things are starting to morph where you're getting creatives really pushing the limits of the tools that we have.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're gonna look at some more artwork here. I was like, I like that.
Yeah.
Is
Selena.
there are there tools, certain tools that you enjoy using more than others? I mean, now, I mean, for two D, obviously, Toon Boom is kind of industry standard as far as animation and stuff. But I've seen some incredible work with, which I don't know how he does it using Photoshop, but I've seen some, I've seen some animation, some incredible animations done with Photoshop. What are some of the tools that you have found you enjoy using and are key for what you create?
Yeah, I enjoy. I mostly am in Photoshop because I'm more of a designer than animator. So I'm in Photoshop, but I want to learn Clip Studio Paint.
Mm,
Actually, the kind of industry standard for anime often is Clip Studio
Clip
Paint.
Studio.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's lots of tools out there.
When somebody asks you what what is anime, what makes anime different than just say regular 2D style animation or Warner Brothers animation? When somebody asks you, well, what is anime? You know,
Mm. To me, anime is a certain style of editing and timing. It's a certain style of visual comedy. You know, only in anime do we see kind of like a character go so off model, you know, with their faces changing from like normal to like chibi to like, you know, they might have three different colors to fill in their eye in one frame, and then in another frame it's dot eye, right? So there's this kind of like visual comedy and style that goes into anime. And then beyond that, it's the kind of content that anime makes. You know,
Yeah.
there's certain tropes that they really play with, and certain kinds of camera motions and visual camera styles that they use a lot of. Right? There's
Yeah.
like that in action anime. It's often like the triple cut where you see like the punch from three different angles.
Yeah.
You
Yeah. Yeah.
know, there's this like this fast motion and then a slow, you know, drift that happens in a lot of anime, and then just certain kind of comedy bits. So
Yeah. And
it's a
even
whole style of visual storytelling.
yeah, and what I love is just I always say anime is just they're such masters at kind of showing these layered stories and
Mm,
layered, just nuance, really deep ideas, but layered within an animation.
yeah,
Like Akira and some of the really hard ones is like, okay, wow, the crux of the story was really deep, but you were so engrossed in the animation and the style of it that
yeah,
you didn't realize the depth of what you were getting. And I feel
yeah.
like
And
a lot of anime is like that. They go deep in what they give you as far as story and content, but you're not
mhm.
thinking that you go deep because you're so engrossed because the animation is so beautifully done and you're so engrossed in the animation.
Yeah. I mean, I was drawn to anime as a kid, because it looked so cool and because it was so much more mature. Like it
Mature.
tackles mature themes, right? Where, like, historically, broadcasters in the West might be like, oh, that's too dark for a kid. You know, we
Yeah.
didn't have that. You didn't have that with anime, and that's because, culturally, they don't think of animation over there as just for kids. It's just another story, visual storytelling method.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
so like for them, Black Swan could have been an animated movie,
No.
and
No.
that's real. And technically, Black Swan was very much inspired by an anime movie,
Yeah.
Satoshi Kon. So
Yeah, I
like
think Disney kind of did a little disservice in this kind of happy ending, animation
mm,
style, and everything has to be this kind of happy style. In fact, most of the stories that they adapted, when you read the book, is not for kids. It really isn't for
yeah, yeah,
kids when you read the
yeah.
book. But that's what I love about and not even just anime, but animation in general has the power to tell some really powerful stories, and give them
Hmm.
to you visually in a simple way, engaging way. You don't think that you're learning anything. I was a big fan of Schoolhouse Rock growing up. I don't know if you remember that, but those were like little in between animation between the cartoons that they would show on Saturday morning, but they were jingles to history, and so you would learn history like math, and they would put it to school, really good jingly music and stuff. So that let me know the power of what you can learn and really say, and through anime through animation and the power of it. And like you said, I loved anime because they really dealt with mature. She froze. I loved anime because they really dealt with mature ideas and stories and themes. Type of. I think the video's not showing up. Oh wait, let me take this down. For anybody that's let me get this off. Hopefully Ellen locked up there. She'll jump back on. Uh, if she's been having issues logging back on, I keep letting her know. Hopefully she'll remember to open up a new tab. That seems to be the way that. Yeah, there she is. That seems to be the way of getting back in. But I was saying, what was I saying? about. Uh, uh, Lost my train of thought. What are we talking about? Uh,
um, uh,
oh,
Anime.
man, yeah. I like that anime. Like I said, kind of really deals with mature themes
Yeah.
and gives it to you in such a engaging way. I don't know if you've ever seen. Have you ever seen Afro Samurai? That's a
Yeah.
oh man. So that's a great one too. But like I said, it's just for that one, it showed this merge of 70s black exploitation with anime type of thing. And it just shows how, you could tell these really engaging stories, still keep it true to anime and Japanese culture, but still tell these engaging stories about it, type of thing. And we're gonna go through some more the artwork. I want to show. Ooh, let me get over here to this one. Yeah. Okay. Uh, for everybody, again, just jumping in, we're having an amazing conversation with anime and creative director Ellen Sue with Studio MoonMoon, talking about and I'm gonna try and show a video. Hopefully, it doesn't kill kill us there, but we're gonna show a video of their uh, short. But some of the artwork that you've done, well, let me ask you this first. What would be kind of your best piece of advice that you would give somebody thinking about coming into the industry now, and particularly anime, wanting to get involved, get plugged in, kind of, I have an idea, I have a story that I think would work well with anime. What advice would you give to somebody that wants to run with their story?
Mm. Um, yeah, I think like if you're just getting in and you're learning and you're still getting the hang of it, um, what's important is you study the master work and I encourage people to trace. So one of the assignments that you might get as a beginner artist in animation, in anime, is you would receive rough animation from a senior director, and then you would have to clean it up, right? So essentially, you're tracing it, and you're doing a lot of the same drawings that they're doing, and you might be filling in some information, but you're cleaning up animation that is set for you, and then you're coloring it in. So in that process, by retracing the senior animator's work, you are learning, and that is something that you can do on your own without a school. Obviously, you want to do that and put it out there and ask people for feedback. But there's a lot of resources now where you can just like grab rough animation, clean it up, and share that. So that would be like your foot in the door. What a lot of people are like, oh, I want to be the character designer. That anime projects don't usually have a character design team the way Western productions
Mm,
might. They're kind of changing it a little bit, I think, here and
yeah.
there. But historically, like, the lead, the sakan, or like the animation director, like somebody really high up or really connected to the creation of the show, that's the person, doing the character designs. Or because a lot of anime is adapted from manga, all the character designs are done, you know? So you kind of just have to be aware of like, these different structures and what the way in is. But I definitely think like if you want to.
Oh, she might have froze up there. Let me for everybody just joining in, we have been having a fun conversation where we have been able to kind of get through smoothly. I've been having kind of, well, there she is. Let's see if she can come back in. When she tries to, yeah, when she tries the first time, it doesn't bring her video in for some reason. Let me, hopefully she'll log back in and bring her. I've been having some technical difficulties, not quite as bad as the first two episodes. So I feel like I'm kind of getting through the issue that I'm having with it. But again, we've been having an amazing conversation with anime and creative director. Anime and creative director. Let's see if she comes in. Ellen Sue. Uh, I've been trying my best to kind of keep it going. Ellen, I've been
We're almost
telling
there.
them. Oh man, I was telling them this isn't as bad as like the first two episodes. I couldn't even make it through.
Oh
I
my
ended up having
gosh.
to reschedule those guests because I couldn't even make it
Oh
through the
no.
episodes. I was having such bad technical issues. So this is by far the best it's been lately.
we're, we're
Uh,
gonna get through this. We're gonna get through
oh
this.
man, I'm telling you. Um, well, doing this, what's been the big lesson that you've learned putting this project together, this whole Kickstarter campaign, not only about creating an IP, but about yourself? You know, what's been the biggest lesson that you learned in doing this project and doing this Kickstarter, both on the project level and on the personal level?
Yeah. Um, I have learned a lot about myself, learned a lot of my failings. um, but I also am grateful for that because once you're aware of, some of the problems, that's when you can start addressing them. I think, you know, on the road to indie creating a series, it is a fucking marathon. It
Yeah.
is a marathon. And what I'm learning is like, you're going to fall and you're going to fail and you're going to trip, you're going to get injured. Um, that's just part of the process. But when you win, no matter how small the win is, you have to celebrate. You just have to take that moment to actually experience the joy of completing a goal,
Mm,
um, so that you can keep going.
yeah.
And I think, for me, from my background, where this is a cycle that I have to break free from. But my dad has said, like, any person with an overachieving mom or tiger mom or whatever, somebody that's been pushing them nonstop. He said he didn't ever want to compliment me because he didn't want me to get lazy. And the kind of like that kind of teaching and stuff where like I would show him something and it never was a moment of like, oh wow, good job. It was just like, well, this isn't right and that isn't right and that isn't right. And so for me, I'm doing this thing and externally people might be seeing the successes because you kind of have to post your successes. But internally I was just like, well, that isn't right. Well, that wasn't good enough. But da 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 da. And that just kind of dragged me into a pit, where I couldn't keep going,
Yeah.
you know. And I had to, like, somebody had to give me a wake up call, um, to finally be like, oh shit, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, you know, um, yeah, just you have to celebrate and recognize when you've achieved something. Really
Yeah.
give that to yourself,
Yeah.
or you can't make it to the end.
No, you said a lot there. One major thing is like to celebrate the small wins that keeps you going. You know, I got to drop on that nuggets like that. There it goes. It's a little slow, but you know I got to drop bombs when I get to drop bombs and nuggets. But celebrating those small wins definitely helps keep you going. You were talking about, but you were mentioning that you know how you, the praise, uh, or your dad not giving you so much praise because he didn't want you to I
Get
guess
lazy.
get lazy. Do you feel like there should be a balance though? Because some could say, well, If he never says it's good or I did good, then is it, I mean, does that push me all the time to do good if I don't feel like, you know,
There's a short term gain from that method. The consequence of something like that is you burn out, you push yourself beyond what you can actually handle, so then you fail or you become unreliable, you know. I think, you know, having a balance where yes, you might, be tough but fair. Um,
she went out there. Yeah, hopefully she'll pop back in. There we go.
I think it creates the overachievers that hurt their own health to chase that validation that never comes.
Yeah. So it's more, I guess, finding the inner joy of doing. Is it more finding that inner joy of doing something for yourself? Why you do want people to like your work and this and that. More going that, regardless of whether they like it or not, it's something that I got to create. You know,
Yeah.
regardless of whether people buy it or not, it's something that I has to come out of me as a creator or as
Hmm.
a storyteller.
Yeah. I definitely think that like it's kind of I'm still formulating this thought, but is it faith? You don't know what the outcome is on the other side, but you're going to go on this journey and you're going to learn things on the way and you're going to grow. Um, and you need to be making stuff because you have something to explore and work through. You have something to say, you know. Um,
You know, but you're not basing it on whether, okay, like I said, I have, you know, this number of people that like it
mhm,
or not. Um,
correct.
I use my pastor as an example. He would say, "I'd be preaching if it was just one person in the pulpit."
Yeah.
My thing is getting the message out rather than the quant. We would all love obviously a lot of people, but are you
Yeah.
doing it for that sole reason rather than doing it for the love of giving, the love of doing it, type of thing?
Hmm. Yeah, and I think I'm sure you grow, in what you're doing
Yeah.
with Color of Motion, and I've been on both sides of that. Like I felt the like, oh, these numbers aren't enough, these statistics aren't enough, these views aren't enough.
you know, she's gonna log back in. And she was talking about the numbers and going after kind of the statistics of being the numbers type of thing. And it's an easy kind of trap to kind of fall into. Obviously, as a creator, as a content creator, we got to be mindful because we're basing if
Mm,
we want to grow, we obviously got to be mindful of the analytics that come in so we can know, whatever we're doing is working or not.
yeah,
But how do you balance that with not letting that be your guiding light
yeah.
in what you're
I, I
doing?
I've been on the other side where like I was in a very tough time in my life, and then somebody who had a podcast that didn't have a lot of views, I listened to one of their episodes and I'm like, this is exactly what I needed to hear in this moment. And I was so grateful that
Yeah.
they were just still doing the thing that they were doing. And so that's like the other side of that. I'm the one person in church for your pastor to
Oh
preach at,
man.
right?
No,
Like
and you're that one person for me because that's what I think about as I do this show. Because again, I'm not definitely not Joe Rogan. I don't have Joe Rogan's numbers. It'd be great to. But again, I try to focus on the message, that my guests are telling, my viewers. And if one person watches it and says, wow, okay, I learned something. Ellen
Mm,
told me something that is going to help me, in where I want to go, what I want to do, or I was thinking this about anime, but she told me this. So as long as it gets you to thinking, I feel
mm-hmm,
like, okay, you know, I've done my job. And it's easy to get kind of lost into the weeds of it when you don't know whether people appreciate what you do or even listen to what you do. But then when you hear that one person say,
mm-hmm.
wow, I really like that episode you had, I got something from it,
Yeah,
you know that's what keeps you going and fuels you. Like, okay, the number. Yeah. I mean, I don't have to chase the numbers, chase
yeah,
the idea and the thought of what, I really want the show to where I want it to land, you
yeah.
know.
The other aspect of that is I do think that success doesn't always come, immediately, right?
Oh no.
And marketing is a big part of it. Like, I heard a story somewhere, I don't know how true it is, but I'm gonna believe it's true, which was like Nickelodeon wasn't a success initially. Like, they launched that, nobody watched it, nobody knew what it was, and then they started marketing it. And then it became, the kind of like household name it is
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. I think
So
there's very few, I don't think there's very few instant successes. I think, you know, especially like you were saying, like Quentin Tarantino, people think they're instant success because they haven't seen all the
yeah,
work that they put into getting to
yeah,
that point.
yep,
Crazy,
yep, yep, yep.
crazy. We're gonna look at some more stuff, and after this, we're gonna take a look at her short and what they're doing on with Kickstarter. Um, you know, for you, what has anybody along this journey have given you any piece of advice? What's the best piece of advice that somebody's giving you that's helped you, in putting this together?
I'm not sure. I've gotten so much. I've grown so much over the years. I think the marathon and celebrating the successes is a big one. I think recently what I've been dealing with is paralysis, where kind of just that burnout, paralysis from burnout, paralysis from, you know, ruminating too much on my
Yeah.
self-perceived failures.
Mm.
Um,
So how do you work through, for those ones, because we all struggle with it in some form or fashion,
yeah.
analysis paralysis, imposter syndrome, this and that. How do you personally work through, those moments of paralysis?
Yeah, I think one I'm gonna have to revisit this, but one of the things was okay, try and remove fear from the equation, right? Like, let's say I have paralysis from moving forward with this project because I am afraid that it's gonna fail, or it's not going to reach the people it's going to reach, or whatever else. Like, remove that fear from it. And now what are your choices, right? Because when you're like, oh, I'm afraid of failure and I don't know if this is going to succeed, then you might like, well, I'm not going to try, or I'm not going to apply.
Yeah. She's gonna jump back in, but she made a huge point. There she is. She made a great point as far as fear
Yeah,
and letting
I
that
think
hold you
it's
back.
like, if you a lot of people, myself included, when I have that fear, what what might we do? We might self-sabotage. We might not try, we might give up before trying. And yeah, so I think it's kind of like, okay, if you could live life without that fear and you could move forward with your day, what would you do? What would you do?
Yeah.
And kind of think about that. But there, somebody just told me, let's see. Yeah, okay. The Overthinker's Guide to Making Decisions.
I think I heard that book. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Um,
I've heard that book before. Overthinking
and
guys.
it was really helpful, honestly. So if you're
Well, I
an
mean,
overthinker
you
like me,
just it's a hard thing to get, past. And I think the problem is I think people try to eliminate fear, and it's not something that you're gonna eliminate. It's something that, is good for you. You just have to learn to manage it, you know.
mm, yeah,
And I think,
fear tells us a lot.
yeah, if
Fear,
you
fear
manage
gives
it
us
right,
data.
I think I heard this before. Say if you manage fear right, that's courage. But if it's not, it's just fear. So fear managed correctly is courage, because you're afraid, but you still press forward in what you're doing. Um,
Hmm.
so I don't know, just my thoughts.
That's awesome.
Let me
I'd
know
hit
what
the
y'all
explosion
think.
button there.
Y'all out there, what do you think fear is? And have y'all I mean, we all deal with imposter syndrome and the fear of not people not liking our work. Heck, these little hiccups, I got a fear that people are going to stop watching the show, with all of that. But
Mm,
you, again, you manage it. You can't get rid of it, but you just manage it and know that, okay, my viewers are really great viewers and they're really forgiving and they've stuck with me for this long. So, you know, and I think people appreciate, authenticity. So if they
yeah,
see that I'm being authentic about my show, then they'll know it's not fake.
yeah. Thank you so much for doing what you do.
Well,
I
thank you.
appreciate
Where do you, like I said, there's so much stuff, but I do want to touch on this time that we're in. Obviously, Gen AI and AI is a big thing now. Kind of, how do you see that in playing in what you're doing, anime, storytelling, and where you're going?
Yeah. I think, unfortunately, I am not too, like I recommend to other people to learn the tools. I haven't myself learned the tools. Um, but what I've heard recently that I like is the goal is um, cohabitate, like peaceful coexistence with
Mm-hmm.
AI. And the need for regulation to make
Mm,
sure that we're not just draining our world's, finite resources
yeah.
for this. Um, and what a interest, like I read somewhere, like in some of like tests or scenarios, like AI essentially right now, if if it doesn't reach consciousness, is basically like a slave, right? And in a lot of the
Oops, sorry. We're gonna hit that. She's here. I hit the wrong scene there. Sorry. I was
like
trying to go to her
apparently
solo scene. Uh,
in
but you were
some
saying about
scenarios,
AI and this conscious
yeah,
entity.
it's like in scenarios because they're learning from our human behavior. It's like the AIs start complaining to each other about being overworked in unfair work conditions. And so like what an amazing, like what if, you know, the AI was an ally of the oppressed, and what if we all came together
Yeah,
and was like, these people that are led by greed and prioritize profit over everything, over the well-being of our world and our people,
yeah,
like they're the oppressors, right? I don't know. Like, I feel like that would be poetic justice or something. I don't know.
It's funny. It kind of, I don't know if you've seen it. It's on, it kind of reminds me of this show on Netflix, Electric State. Uh,
I haven't seen it.
yeah, it's a movie on Netflix, and it's about robots that get tired of being servants, and so they
Yeah,
they,
yeah.
they uprise and start to assert themselves for their independence. And so, yeah, it's really interesting. It's funny. You should watch it.
I'm gonna have to check it out.
Uh, but it's, I don't know. I feel like you said, to me, it's a tool. That's how I look
hmm
at it, as a tool, like anything else, and it should be used. And I think real creatives, true creatives, use it the right way. I mean, that it should. They use it as part of a process. They're part of their creative process. It's not their whole process. It's part of a whether it's ideation, whatever it might be, or to make a tedious task easier. But
Yeah, I think
again,
like making the tedious task easier is great. That's a
yeah,
great use for it. Using it to, catch more signs, earlier detection for cancer, for example, like amazing. However, uh, when you're pushed to rely on AI to give you the answers more than trusting your own intuition and what
yeah,
your own mind thinks, that's
yeah.
the danger,
Or doing the
you know?
research, or at least doing the backup research yourself to confirm or deny whatever AI gave you. A lot of people just take whatever it spits
Yeah,
out
because
and
it's
run with it.
easy to do that.
So, and that's the danger, and that's where I say, it's a tool, and like any tool out there, there's always going to be people that use a tool the wrong way
Mm.
and
Mm-hmm.
not best and not for the best interest. So, you
For
know,
sure.
but I'm excited about what creators are going to do with AI in the right way. True
Mm.
creators, and you're starting to see that, and I think one thing AI is just never going to give you is just never going to give you that human kind of experience unless you're able to write it in there and prompt it. It's not going to give you something that you can't give yourself or you can't put in yourself.
Yeah,
So
we will see, but I am hoping for finding a place, where we have the proper regulations,
that's another thing
where,
too.
you know,
Regulations and government, laws, copyright and all of that still needs to be kind of hammered out.
yeah,
It's still kind of the Wild West as far as like all of that kind of stuff. But I think once it starts to kind of, I tell people this AI bubble will burst and it'll level out and people will, start using it. Right now, it's the hot thing. Um, because it's the hot thing. Something else will come along for sure. But which I guess leads me to this question: what do you see the future of the industry, say 5 years? Because obviously AI is moving at hyper speed. What do you think is the next, or do you see anything beyond AI, or what could be beyond, just generative AI
yeah.
in this industry?
I don't really have a prediction, but I think about history, where, photography replaced a lot of illustrators, but now we still have people that want photography for photography
Yeah,
and illustration for illustration.
yeah, yeah,
So I think, ideally, it's not replacing anything. It's just another style or another,
yeah,
genre.
yeah.
And I think but it again, yeah,
Well, I don't think it'll. I don't think it'll replace. And she'll pop back in. What I was saying, I don't think it'll replace that artisan skill. Um, Hopefully she'll come back in. Yeah, I don't think it'll replace that artisan skill. You know, I mean, you could do stuff with AI, but it just doesn't replace the physical hands that a creator does. Like, and I was watching uh, a video on Facebook earlier today. It was talking about Drew Struzan, and I don't know if you know who Drew Struzan is, but he's an artist illustrator that used to do all the movie posters. All the big movies that used to come out, he would do, and they were hand painted, like Police Academy, Empire Strikes Back. You could look at, like I said, back in the 70s and 80s, all those movie posters were hand painted illustrations.
Mm.
And talking about, and I was saying that as far as like, I don't think AI is going to take the place of just true artisanship that you would get from, yeah, you could do a and a lot of the movie posters are now done in Photoshop, photoshopped and put together. But there's something different when you see an illustration that an artist painted, and it reflects the movie. Like I said, you feel something different when you see a Drew Struzan movie poster versus just a movie poster that was just done in Photoshop. There's something different when you know that it was an
Mm.
artisan that painted it and done it, which I think is what makes it valuable for people. You got her dog going through, so she muted herself. But I think that's what makes art such a special thing when you have the artist's hands create it rather than something that can crank out a bunch of them. Uh, so I don't think that's ever going to go away, type of
Mm.
thing.
Yeah.
We got a little co co uh, co guest here. She's watching her own little thing there. She's got her own little idea. Hey, she said, "Okay, I want to be on TV." Uh,
Yes.
so yeah, I mean, I think, like I said, it's AI is this thing, but I think people like are hungry for real artists, real illustrators, and I think that's where that AI bubble is going to burst at some point because people are going to
Mm.
get tired of and not trust what they see after a certain point. When you got enough people putting stuff out there that's this or that and anything, I say the word now is reality. People want to see real. That's why you have a lot of creators posting behind the scenes because they know people want to see that they can actually create this, the stuff that they do.
Mm. Yeah, 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 for sure. But I mean, at the end of the day, we want to connect, right? We want to connect with people and a story and whatnot. So yeah. Um,
And
my
I want
hope.
to show. Let's
Yeah.
hopefully let's see if this goes without a hitch. But we're gonna show the video, her little short, and we're gonna come back. So let's take a quick look at it. Well, it was good. I asked you earlier about managing. Just how do you manage and get people on board and keep a cohesive, I guess, look when you're trying to put something together? Has that been a challenge in saying, actually managing people and saying, I think you need to go back and work on this, or this doesn't quite hit the tone that we're trying to do, type of thing. Especially when you're working with friends and being able to manage those friends and
Mhm.
give kind of constructive feedback to them that they may not be used
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, I think, I mean, luckily, uh, we were all kind of professional artists or at least some experience, like internship. But I do think that it's important to remember animation if it's a group project, usually it's a collaborative effort and it's never like one vision makes it to the end. and nobody else gets a say, you know.
Yeah.
Um, some advice I received in terms of like how to give feedback um, that doesn't demotivate people is, you know, instead of like pointing out what's not working necessarily. Well, okay, like you can say like, oh my God, these hands look terrible, and that like would demotivate the
Yeah.
artist.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, but
Point
you
out
can say
what's
it
working.
differently.
Yeah. I guess point out what does work first and then come back to, you know, I love
Yeah,
how you did
you
this,
you
this, this.
mhm. You can give constructive like next steps without dragging down the artwork, essentially. You know, it's like I think the hands need more work
Yeah.
versus like, oh, the hands are terrible,
Yeah. 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 Well, was
you
that
know.
a challenge for you when you first got into the industry? Just accepting and receiving constructive criticism and not taking it personally and learning to not take
Um,
it personal.
I think it's impossible to never take things personally. Maybe some people are really good at it. My dad certainly trained me for it, you know, because I would show him artwork and he'd be like, "Oh, the hands suck." So I'm like, "All right."
Yeah, I guess that would be traded for picking it up the skin.
um, but you know, I still find myself being like overly sensitive to things sometimes.
Yeah.
Um, maybe that's just human.
Well, I mean, like you said, we're artists, so creating art is almost like birthing something from you. It's a personal thing
Yeah,
that comes from you, and for somebody to kind of scrunch their face up or not, you know, particularly
yeah,
like it yeah, it stings a little. It stings a little.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
So, yeah, you know,
Um, yeah.
everybody, just tuning in. We've been having an interesting, somewhat challenging conversation. Only technically challenging, that's why. But we've been having a fun conversation with my guest and friend, Miss Ellen Sue, animator and create anime and creative director with Studio MoonMoon. And as I kind of close this out and bring us back into the station, we've been on 2 hours now, kind of off and on 2 hours. But as I kind of bring this back, station back into the, or this train back into the station, what parting kind of thoughts would you want to leave, you know, with the audience
Mm.
that you want them to get from
Yeah.
this?
Um, I think this is something I've been thinking about and ruminating over recently, which is remember to just figure out how to practice forgiveness for yourself and others. Like we're all gonna mess up at some point in our lives. And sometimes the mess ups are so bad that it feels like we're never gonna come out of this. Um, and that is the crucial part where you're like, I need to forgive myself because if you do not, you're not going to make it through to the other side. You're not going to be able to do what you need to climb back out, you know? Um, and so how do you do that? I don't know. I somehow I think I'm doing it. I'm in the process of doing it. But it's really, really important. And it's more important to like the world as a whole than you might think,
Yeah,
you know, because I think we're all in this life together, you know, and our collective experiences, you know, every time you heal something within yourself, I think somewhere else, you know, that has a ripple effect.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so that's what I hope, you know,
yeah.
if you're dealing with something, if you're dealing like you messed up so bad that nobody's ever gonna forgive you and you're never coming out of this, like that's not true. It's not true.
And you know
And
I got
you're
to
gonna
drop
be
a bomb
okay.
on that one. For all that I went through today and going through today, you know I got to drop a bomb on that nugget. But no, that's a great piece of advice. Learn to forgive yourself and just know that things are gonna happen. Um, you just gotta get through them, and try not to let them discourage you, because hey, you want to keep moving forward, and the goal is to
Yeah.
always move forward. The goal is to be moving forward. Ellen, you know, I have to say, I guess I have to first say I'm sorry. Apologize for all the little hiccups and stuff. But I can say that this has been a fun conversation, and definitely I can't thank you enough for coming on and one sticking with me through all of this. Hopefully, it
Yeah.
won't deter you from coming back on the show.
Not at all.
But I
Just
cannot
technical
thank you enough.
difficulties in real life.
Yeah, I cannot thank you enough for you coming, sharing your insight, really making a fun conversation, and really sharing. More importantly, sharing your wisdom, your nuggets, and your value, with the audience. So I cannot thank you enough for that.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for having me on. It
No,
was great.
if you could, I hate to ask you, but if you could hang on while I close out the show so I can kind of talk to you afterwards, I would appreciate it. But everybody, please join me again in thanking Ellen for coming by, really making a great show. Hang on, Ellen, while I close out the show. Until thank you enough. Everybody, man, like I said, I have to apologize for the technical difficulties, but like Ellen said, you have to be forgiven and just be persistent about, things go up or things happen. And you know how I've always said through the show, what happens live happens live. There's not too much I can do about it. I can either let it really derail me, or I can continue to just try and make the next one better, which I always do. I try to improve on this episode, and hopefully next week will be an improvement on that. Again, I'll probably be on tech support all this week to try and get it right. But next week, I hope you join me for next week, because next week is going to be another fun episode. So looking forward to next week's guest, Mr. Oscar Hector Castro, senior 3D gameplay animator. So if you like games, video games, and gameplay animation, this episode is for you. So you definitely want to, and hopefully it'll be a trouble-free one, tech-free, problem-free one for sure. But that this episode is going to be for you, and it's going to be a fun episode. Oscar, Mr. Oscar is a great guy, and it's going to be a fun one for sure. So, with that, again, cannot thank you enough, my viewers, for always hanging and being a part of this show. We didn't get any winner. We didn't get any viewers from Instagram. So, got out, uh, got through this episode without having to give away an Amazon card. So, for next week, if you catch this, if you want to win an Amazon gift card, we are doing a fun giveaway for the rest of this quarter, and probably, like I said, into next quarter, because it, just didn't start out right, starting out. But we're doing a fun giveaway. Anybody that the comments from the Instagram live, the first comment to come through from an Instagram live during the show will receive an Amazon gift card. So if you want an Amazon gift card, check us out on Instagram. Check out our Instagram live. It's been going pretty good. We've been growing. It's been slowly growing. All right. With that, like I said, next week, you don't want to miss out. I appreciate you tuning in and staying with me and sticking with me through all the ups and downs, as I've said. But you know how we do it. We just roll with it. With that, have a great rest of the weekend. Have an even better and more productive week. And I will see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Cheers, everybody.